everybody. Oops. It's about 1 point. I'm just trying to figure out the lines per second because someone's asking about that for today's Q&A, right? So divided by 141. Let's round that to 1.42. Yeah, so it's around 180, which is not the highest that it's been, not even close, but that is a thing we will work on. Okay, but we want to get some game stuff done. Game stuff. So, we have had these little Dinktastic level previews. These are big ones that I just put in. But if you go to like some other random part of the game, it doesn't even have me. You'll see there are these little Dinktastic ones. That's even a bigger one, but the problem is, if you're playing this game like that, if you're playing this game on a phone and you look at that fucking thing, you can't tell what level that is. Right? Or like just a small screen. It's not good. So So, what I want to do is have a thing where we automate placement of these, and maybe we adjust the size. Because if you're on a really, really big monitor, maybe we don't want it to be super big. But kind of what we're thinking is generally these could be in one of the 4 quadrants of the screen and just like take up the whole quadrant. Like whichever one is opposite where you're standing, and then yeah, see how small that is? And then if they're manually placed, you know, then we would do something. Then we would use the manually placed ones, right? So I think I want to try that. The thing is, A four corner thing might be awkward. Like right here, I'm just about in the middle. But I think in the upper right corner would be fine in this case. This bottom one is obviously, obviously it could be south one square and west one square from where it is. And so I kind of just want to get, I want to get a feel for what is the size and placement of these, right? Like what are the numbers? So if I make this one south and west, also though, it is the case that we're not drawing all the way out to the borders. Oh, yeah, we have a new mesh. So this mesh is not 16 by 9. Maybe I need to, that one is 16 by 9. And this is probably the mesh that we're going to use. So that'll change this computation as well. It sure looks like my little noise is going to have to be adjusted, but that's fine. All right, so I'm going to pop into a level, pop back out. That's just a quick way to reload without hosing my game state. All right, so we got some Z fighting there. That's no biggie. So the north one could clearly go north by 1, right? And then okay, see, these are, the rent is too damn high. Actually, maybe not, right? Because it's fine if these overlap horizontally, right? Because if you're in this top area, we're going to use a bottom one anyway. Right? So that seems nice and big. As a default placement, that'll be better than what we have. I still am not buying the aspect ratio here, but I think that's just my noise function because I had to adjust it for the old thing. Like we're skinny vertically. Yeah, clearly. So if you look at where we're drawing right now on the actual mesh, we're going to basically up to the edge horizontally. And then vertically, there's a lot more latitude in the attitude. Yeah, this should be a lot more. Yeah, see that? So now that goes out to about the edge. It's much nicer, but we still don't overlap in the middle, which is good, which means anywhere we stand doesn't quite, right? However, this is now, it's too close to the edge and we're clipping. So like, I'm gonna put this in. Okay. Yeah, so now we're going pretty far out, but we're not really clipping. We're not being clippy from Microsoft. Right. Okay, so we're drawing 4 right now, in case you're not following that, just so I could see where they are. In the game, we won't actually do that, right? But this is much more comfortable and better, right? Like, you can imagine me actually seeing the information. Now, there's some weird questions, like, so in the very naive version, I think we're gonna, we're probably gonna switch as soon as you cross the middle, but in some rooms that might be awkward anyway. So we might want to have a thing that says, okay, once you've put one up for this screen, keep the same one if we're also not uncomfortably close with where we're standing now. Right? Yeah, those are screenshots. We might, I could imagine making them dynamic level renders eventually. There wouldn't be that much upside in doing that. There is kind of a perspective question that might get fixed if it was a dynamic render, because the perspective is different. Hold an input to teleport, yes. Okay. So, what is the next step? The first step is to pour my tea so it doesn't oversteep. Except, I think all my teacups are in the dishwasher. I think I've made a strategic error. Okay, well, I'm going to pour my tea into this little thing that is not large enough. Because everything else I have is glass, and it is bad feng shui to pour tea into a glass that is not meant for it. It's okay. By the time we do the Q&A, then the dishwasher will be done. Okay. So this is a little bit of asymmetric placement because of the perspective. So we're going to like write down what the placement is and the scale and all that. Dude, the dishwasher literally just finished. I could have waited a few seconds and had my regular teacup. Easy Sag. Easy Sag. Okay, so scale on these is 883. The 3 doesn't matter. All right. Scale 8, 8. Okay, so position-wise, oh, dude, why does the art team do this? Okay, position-wise, it's fucking somewhere off in the universe. Like, okay, the corner is up here. So that's... like, it's on a corner pretty close, which is fine. But like I have to figure out where the fuck that is. Okay, this guy looks like he's in the middle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. X minus 6. Y plus 3.5. Is this snapped? Half grid offset, yeah. Okay, so that's for one of them, right? And then for this one, it's x minus 6, y plus... Oh, that's not even... Okay. That's not even from a good place. All right. So we're actually going to do these coordinates relative to when you have an object in the corner of the map. All right. So that's x minus 2.5, y plus 5.5. All right. And so now this one will be x minus 2.5 and y 10. Wait, start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 and a half. All right, and then we just need the x's for this side. All right. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. X plus 6.5. Wait, why did I get... This is... Yeah. Right, and then... Yeah. Okay. Now that this is all done, I'm going to reload so I don't save any mistakes. And now I'm just going to delete from these couple of areas these manual baggers, these Bilbo baggers. All right, because the whole idea is on levels that don't have these, we're going to auto place. which is going to be honestly most of the map. Like these were all like manual placements. Yeah. I might go through and delete all of them eventually, but we're just going to see what the auto place does. Those games are odd ones out. Okay. Now we're going to have to add a little bit of logic. My brain is slow right now. We're just going to take it slow. It's an easy clap. So there's some code that says, hey, we're about to open a viewer. We're going to go to that. First thing we're going to do is say, which quadrant of the screen are you on? Actually, the first thing we should... I'm trying to think. So we're going to have some of these dudes. Okay, when we say we want one of these to appear dynamically that is not pre-saved in the world, you know, it's an entity with parameters. There's no real reason to change that. So we're going to construct an entity. Maybe, or maybe we shouldn't. But I feel like we should, because if we do want to manually place them sometimes, then we don't want like a dynamic generation path to fight with the manual generation path. If you know what I'm saying. I kind of want a nap before this thing, but I just drank some caffeine tea. Now, so we want to dynamically create some entities. We can just make, so the thing, there's two basic ways to do it. One is we have some fixed number like 4 or 1, and when we load the entity manager, you just pre-create those. All right. The downside to that is that then you're popping them around, and the problem with popping them around, like Beard Papa, is you don't get to graciously fade one out while another one fades in or whatever. And that's kind of one of my trademarks, is like I make sure to do that where some people wouldn't. It's not a trademark that anyone notices, but it is one of my things. So obviously we don't have a fixed number. Also, we need to make sure that we don't save these in undo. These are called viewer entities. Okay, so the can move means that we won't try to put it in undo, I believe. All right, so Dude, my brain isn't working right now. All right. So here, we're like looking for a thing on the current screen. Okay. Where, I think is on current screen is, um, why do we have a thing called Nexus View? That's got to be old. Map level name position alpha. I see. So we fade this particular one in. That's actually fine. That's actually fine. We'll just put this on here. Okay. We need to make sure we clean these up now. Which we don't at all. Wait, literally we don't at all. Okay, in Reset Entity Manager, we need to go. Okay. For every Nexus view, then we array reset Nexus views. All right. For every one of these, I'm going to change the name of this because Nexus view is a really old name that meant something a little bit different. This is just going to be called level previews. Something like that. We're just breaking all sorts of stuff. This is not even on Entity Manager. Oh God, we already have a thing called level right? Okay. We're gonna keep the name. All right. This, because it's holding entities, we're gonna put it on the Entity Manager. Okay. That part of, okay, this is, I'm putting this in the wrong place. This goes on the Entity Manager struct. That's fine. For every one of these, oops, not it.viewer. Okay. Let's just put that in a self-contained thing. All right. So that's pretty good. Nintendo apparently blacklisted Kotaku from the latest Zelda. I mean, I would blacklist Kotaku for other reasons. What about reset Nexus views? Yeah, we're gonna get to that. Like this basically needs to go here, but all that really needs to go here is this. But this is stupid because the level name doesn't just a pointer into the level set memory. That should not have been copied in the first place. But you know, this was probably done, well, I did it, so I know. This was done way earlier in the history of the game when I wasn't sure about all this stuff, all right? So, although I do, okay. I was going to move that release just to over here, but it's not the right. We still want a release here. But we don't want it to free the string. What we do want is this. Let's just do this. Much tidier. All right. So, because here, during normal gameplay, we do release when it fades out. Okay. Yeah. This is on Entity Manager now. Okay. And probably that reset Nexus views was being called from somewhere that it doesn't need to now because Entity Manager will do it now. Reset Nexus views, yeah. What a typo. What a typo. All right. Still some people wanting it to be in global storage. Right. And this is the thing we were looking at. Okay. When we add one, we're going to say the viewer is make manager a viewer. All right. Actually, I'm going to do this. We're going to set the scale and some other things like position and stuff. The viewer is the entity in the world, and the Nexus view is like an abstract record that's tracking what should happen. And maybe we'll combine both of those into the same thing, but it's not really necessary. Okay. We'll just set it to be one of the positions, right? Um, Viewer dot position is corner plus minus 2.5, 5.5, 2.1. Okay, so this is just picking one of the 4 places to put it. And then later we'll adjust that based on where we're standing. But initially we just want it to show up on the screen, because that is the #1 problem in video games, is you do stuff and it just doesn't show up on the screen. That's the #1 technical problem. There are other problems in video games, to be sure. Okay, so now what? Hopefully that compiles. Do we have manager there? Oh, we don't have corner. So we probably yeah, we're going to have to do something in the editor. The way that you see these in the editor is we just draw the pre-created ones, but that's not so good. All right. So what do we do? We want to ask, what is the corner of the current screen? And we have that information totally elsewhere. Let's sort of pirate one of our other functions. Why do I not have bear grep on the taskbar? All right. Is on current screen is there. Okay, we get the screen index for the position. All right. Yes, okay. So where's that? Get screen index. Power. Okay, I understand why it's there, but yes. Do we have the inverse? Not really. All right. So we're going to say corner is get screen corner for Nexus viewed up position, which we literally just assigned in the previous line. All right. So okay, so I'm going to return a vector 3. Index is get screen index. Manager position, all right, and then we're just multiplying, right? So dx dy is screen j. That's how many screens in we are, and then we're going to go our dx dy. Okay. Just literally doing the inverse. Okay. So that's fun. Probably messed something up there. Get screen corner. I didn't save the file. That's what I messed up. Ah, we don't have settings. Okay. How do I always know directly what to search for? I mean, I wrote most of the code. Shouldn't I know? Like if you write most of a game engine. Okay, so here's the thing. We are making this goober. I think since I did the visibility culling stuff late last year, I think I need to explicitly init visibility for it. Hopefully we're making this goober. Like I said, the number one problem is the thing doesn't show up on the screen. Will I be at the last CSGO major in Paris? Is this the last one? Like literally the last one ever before they ruin it with Counter-Strike 2? Okay, still not appearing. Really? Are like people not watching Counter-Strike anymore? What's the deal? Does Intel not want to spend so much money on all these? They're sad because Shroud doesn't play anymore? Yeah, CS2 is just like fucking Riot and DICE. Valve can't make games anymore. So they make a very small modifications to their game and call it 2. When like, how is it 2? I know why they're calling it 2, but like, okay, there was Counter-Strike. And then there was Counter-Strike Go. or sorry, Counter-Strike Source, and then there was Counter-Strike Go. So this is Counter-Strike 4. Okay? The reason they're calling it CS2 is because it's in their Source 2 engine, which is not a good game engine. But like even CS Source was such a bigger update to the game. CS:GO was a big recreation of the game, but CS2 is like a huge nothing burger. And they're like trying to make it out like it's not. What's bad about Source 2? So I haven't heard anything about Source 2 in a long time. But last time I heard about it, which was in the earlier days, it was just complete C++ hell. Like, again, it was one of these engines designed by someone who's in love with template instantiation in factories. And, like, that's just not going to be good. So, like, everything that I ever heard from anyone who worked on it for a bit, which, to be fair, generally consists of disgruntled Valve employees who left. So that's a biased sample, but everybody hated it. And everybody who's a bystander who doesn't work at Valve, who looks at it, that I've talked to, just also thinks it's a stinky Pete. So, but I don't know. I've never looked at the code myself, so I don't have firsthand knowledge of it. But even like Source 2, how is it Source 2 still? Because they've been working on it since... Like, I want to say they started Source 2 in like 2006. I don't know how accurate that is. That's just the date that pops into my head. Like, 17 years later, how is that Source 2? How is that the new engine? How close is Silkabon to shipping? We could ship it any second by pressing the Steam ship button. Is there a game engine I respect? Not really. I mean, the thing is, most engines are, yeah, just have very different ideas of what to do. What is my meaning of world-class programmer or 10x programmer? It's one of those things where if you have to ask, you don't know. If you know, you don't have to ask. I don't respect Nanite, though. I don't think Nanite's a good idea. As explained in their thing, right? Because I don't think you want, like, their whole thing was like, hey, you can just have this mega tiny polygon soup and just throw it at Nanite. And I'm like, I don't want that. I don't want all of my hard drive space and to be pulling down source control data for hours a day of like some rocks that nobody gives a shit what they look like because they're procedurally generated. Like, that concept fundamentally doesn't make that much sense to me, right? Because if you don't care what it looks like, you shouldn't be spending all those resources on it. And if you do care what it looks like, then you'll have a more compressed representation of what it is. Like, you'll have the procedural seeds used to generate it that you can use to regenerate it at will or whatever, right? And if you have those, I mean, maybe you feed those into Nanite or whatever. But like the way they explained it, just from a process point of view, I didn't think was a good thing. Okay. So we still don't have this thing on the screen. We would like to get it on the screen. So what could be happening? We might not be creating the entities correctly for some reason. The positions could be wrong. Some other attribute of them may not be set. Maybe we're creating and destroying them every frame so they never fade in. I'm not sure. Or maybe moving it onto the entity manager caused a problem, right? All right. Okay. So we're going to go into simulate. We're going to look for the viewer thing. Okay. We have one. It's got a viewer. The viewer is active. See, this is the weird thing is we store the active T on the viewer. I mean, I can see why we did that, but it also could be cleaned up now. It's not on the current screen. Oh, we're going over every viewer. All right, we could change some of this some more. Position 691072. That seems fine. Maybe. I mean, we could have that wrong. Let's just look at where our guy is. '81. 108. Yeah, that it's trying to be in the lower left corner of right where I am. So why isn't that? I don't know. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm just literally going to delete. Oh. Okay, so first of all, we're doing some of this code in the editor, which we should not be. All right. We'll do editing later. Okay, so we need to change that. Gonna delete this. Gonna delete all this. All right. Now, shush you. Let's also go, since we're over here, all of this stuff, let's do this. Let's call it E. E is it.viewer. If we don't have that continue, e.activeT is moved toward this. Otherwise, we go down. And we're going to do that. So I'm going to delete that. All right. Rate we didn't have. I looked for it. Ah. Cool. All right, we're probably going to want the debugger, so we're just going to launch this in the debugger. Okay, as I expected, it's still not on the screen, but we're opening the overworld. I'm just going to select all of these and delete literally all of them. Goodbye. Save. All right, so now the only ones of these that exist should be our dynamically generated ones, which should make it easier to step through and debug and stuff. All right, so let's go back to where we were here. See, even this is the wrong, let's just fix all these things. Like when you're changing code over. So now we're checking for viewers in the world, but really what we care about is this. And even like this is crappy and it's going to have to get changed. But first we want to get things working. All right, so do we have some code? So here, when we try to draw a viewer, we're just not even going to do that. We could see if for some reason we're bailing out because of this. And if not, we can step through to see what's happening there. All right, so how familiar am I with the C# engines? What C# engines? Are there literally any? What game engines are made in C#? Unity? No, Unity's not made in C#. And Godot's not made in C#. I don't think. Nobody makes game engines in C#, guys. All right, so we're setting active-T there. So what when we come to draw things? Do we come to draw things? Or I mean, okay, Minecraft was written in Java. That's almost C#. I'm sure Microsoft has had some dumb project to make a game engine in C# at some point. Okay, so we never get here for rendering a viewer. Um, you know, when we're probably failing to visibility cull it or something. Stepping through visibility culling is really annoying because there's so many objects. So we could add an if statement for that. I'm just trying to think like what other reason would it not show up on the screen? Wasn't XNA C#? No. Weren't Zachtronics games made in C#? I don't know. But I wouldn't really call those game engines in the same way. Do you need special maps skills for game development? Depends on if you want to be good or crappy. If you're asking that question, it's a bad sign. Okay. Yeah, I'm not aware of any actual game engine that anyone would use seriously that's in C# or any language like that, guys. They're all in C++ or C for good reason. How do you become a real programmer? More plates, more dates, man. Gary Newman would like a word. Gary's mod is just... Gary's mod is a mod, right? I guess they rewrote the whole thing eventually. But doesn't that still use Valve's renderer? Or is it like a totally different thing at some point? Okay. Coming to the conclusion that people don't know how to distinguish game engine scripting language from the language used to build the engine. True facts. That is a 100% accurate observation, as far as I can tell. There's also just the usual team sport thing. People decide they like C#, they identify with C#, and therefore they choose to believe that these things are implemented in C# because it means their thing is cool and can do stuff, right? Rust should be able to handle the code used for an actual engine. Kind of. Yeah, kind of. The problem is that Rust doesn't have respect for the kind of things you need to do in a game engine, and so it makes them a lot harder than they should be. And or those things are directly counter to the vision of Rust. So just Rust is really slow to program in. It compiles very slowly, and it gives you a lot of friction. And both previous games that I made came within 10 or 20. I've said this before, but both Braid and The Witness, if they were 10% harder to make, 15% harder to make maybe, the projects would have failed and the games never would have come out. Like they were on the edge of what we could do, both financially, schedule-wise, and just psychologically of how hard it was to do. If I had been programming those in Rust, the games would have never come out because it would have been more than 10% harder to do. That's just true facts, okay? And that's why when I design things, I focus on reducing friction. What was The Witness written in? C++. Now I'm getting trolled, so I'm going to stop reading chat. Okay, so all right, so the gameplay code is... Oh, you know what? There's one other thing we need to do. I don't exactly think it's part of the problem, but... we need to set these output things. Actually, where is this function? We were just looking at it yesterday or whenever. I think it's in there. Set default render outputs. We need to do this. This is the problem with dynamically creating these, is they're not... they're not going through the usual full pipeline that things go through. I don't think that's going to fix the problem, but it might reduce one of the elements of confusion, keeping us from knowing. Is the game state totally separate from the graphical representation of it? No, that's like some weird idea that you learn in college, or like model component view bullcrap. Hey, there we go. It is still clipping. It's Clippy from Microsoft. I don't know why it's Clippy. Okay, so there's a few issues. Like it's not really fading out smoothly. But it is there, all big on the screen. Do I not care too much about having syntax highlighting? Why do... Gosh. Obviously all my text is monochrome. Look, just because it doesn't look like angry fruit salad doesn't mean there's no syntax highlighting. Like, why do people ask this? Why do you think angry fruit salad helps you? Like, why do you think you have to use every color from every component of the color space? Interestingly, that doesn't work for some reason. I don't know why. We probably have some other crappy factor compensating. Anyway, I'm just going to hack it for now, and we'll figure it out clean later. Our colors do not seem to be... Okay, for some reason the active T, that active T that we set is supposed to go down to 0. Right here. Oh, because I'm literally setting it right after we set it. Lol. All right, let's fix that. No Emacs pinky yet. No, because I put my control key in the right place. Alright, so this is better. There's definitely still problems with it. Like, the colors, I don't think, are coming out right. We might want to nudge it north a little bit. Okay, so now let's actually... so that we can have complete victory before the next stream. I mean, we're obviously going to be refining this for a while, but the thing that the whole reason we set out to do this was so we could put it in the 4 corners, right? Okay. So, we're going to have quadrants. No, what are... We're just going to put 2 frickin' flags on it for now. We can change these to bits later. X. No. Quadrant index. We're just going to do that. All right, so... we're going to go corner, comma, center. All right. Now we're going to say viewer dot quadrant index is ix plus iy times 2. All right. Ix is cast S32. Let's just say pause, and then pause.x is greater than center.x, all right? And then iy is pause.y is greater than center.y, right? And we're putting that into a... Well, we might as well just put it in bits. I mean, it's the same. It's that is what we're doing here, is we're putting it in bits. All right, so that's not a colon. Let's just make that compile because of how slow my brain is. Okay, so we need to return the center. Where is that power for some reason? Okay, so corner is vector 3 this, and now okay. Oh, we added a return value. Quadrant index. I didn't. Oh, I put it on viewer. Nexus view. Quadrant index. Okay, we're not actually using that yet. Oh, wait. We don't even need to put that there. Bro, okay. Zero, 0. All right. We're going to go plus offset. Okay. Offset.x equals if x this, then 6.5 else 2.5 offset.y pos.y is we're going to center.y, then 13.5 else 5.5. Okay, that's great. Great, great, great. Hey, okay, that doesn't look as far as to the right as I want. Did we get that wrong? Oh God. Oh, because we're adding these to the corner. Bro. Oh, but it should be added to the corner. Wait, it's minus 2.5, first of all. So there's that. That puts us 5 squares off. Okay. Don't forget the minus sign if you want to succeed in the games industry. Would you go the OpenGL route to make a game engine? No. No. Before you make a game engine, like ship a game on some platforms is my recommendation. Okay. So we're... Oh, you know what, guys? I'm putting it on the corner where you are instead of the corner where you are not. So let's reverse that. But also, well, I kind of don't understand. Okay, we're just off to the right by, let's say 1 square. I don't know. Okay. I mean, it is kind of stupid and sad how complicated and annoying Vulkan and DX12 are, but okay. So here it's a little bit borderline, like where we might want to move these positions a little bit because the perspective is making it a little weird, right? Like if I stand here, I mean, it's hard to see. Oh, we're freezing now. But like, maybe. We'll dork with the positions later, but you can see, you know, we're picking places in the opposite corner, basically, of where we are. Is that going to be obnoxious a little bit? We'll deal with it. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we're still off to the right. I don't know why. How close do we come? Yeah. Alright, so we're going to subtract 2 more squares. Wait, that's not very... Oh, guys... I did this, right? That was the wrong coordinate. Duh. All right. This is where you would like to have these hot loaded from a data file. And we could do that in about 2 minutes, but we're getting close to time for the other stream. So I'm not going to do it. You changed Y instead of X. You are correct. Okay, it's still too far, but you can start as, you could see the edge of it, right? So we're going to go 2 more. I don't know how I got that so far off initially, but like we said, I'm not fully awake right now. No surprise. Okay, so that looks about symmetric, kinda, a little bit. It's good enough for government work right now. The random seed on the noise is the same on all these guys, but I'm not going to worry about that yet because, like, you pop it left and right and the holes are in the same place. But we don't know what the final effect is going to be. This is just something that I did in like 1 day, less than 1 day, a couple hours to get something. So here we go. Here we go. See, now it's at least not in the way most of the time. There'll be some places in the world where this is like drawing through walls and stuff. Okay, see here. Okay, so it really is a perspective thing. Like, see, this looks too far to the, that's what it was as I looked at the one on the right maybe, or on the top. See here how, if you follow the line that's to the right, like this line, down, it hits the edge of the screen due to perspective, right? But on the top, it's just like too close. So we actually would like to bump it over 2 if it's on the top, right? And that's probably true on the left as well. Yeah. So we'll make a note to do that. That makes our if statements not orthogonal, right? So we'll do that. Bump x coordinate out by 2 if y is greater than center dot y. Easy clap. Are these level previews pictures? They are screenshots saved on disk for now. We might consider in the end changing that, but I don't know that it's worth it. Okay, I'm going to change the stream title for the beta people, and I'm going to make a new T, and I'm going to tweet out that this is beginning in a few minutes. This is starting in just a few minutes, exclamation point. Okay. I'll open the secret Discord. Dude, Discord is so horrible. Like, I installed it on my new laptop so I could read messages on there, and like it's going bloop, bloop, and every time somebody writes a message, I get a pop-up in the corner, and I'm like, God, there needs to be, like, somebody needs to start a new country where the Constitution says software is not bullshit in this country. You know? Like, that would be good. Okay. I'm going to start up the tea. You know what? I'm going to split the stream here just so that the VOD is clean under the new subject matter. So stream is about to stop just for a second and it'll restart.